everybody. Welcome back to Accepting Reality. I'm here with Jake again this evening. Jake, how you doing?
I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Lenten fast is tough. It
Yeah, I
really
know.
is. I
Yeah, I don't
mean,
want to talk about it.
well, then let's not talk about it. You want to talk
Fine, talk
about
about it.
some big news in Ohio? I know we were talking about it a little bit before we started recording, but I know big law just passed in Ohio.
What is this law? Here we go. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Which is weird because DeWine is not a he's not a conservative governor.
He's
Um,
Republican, but he's definitely not
he's
a,
not conservative. No way. Even during COVID, like he was one of the more like it was like New York and then California, and then I think we were maybe like always within the top 5 or 6 states to mandate things like masks and shutdowns and everything like that.
yeah, so
Um,
definitely not a real conservative.
But this guy signed a bill allowing people to carry concealed firearms without training or permits. So I was at work today, and somebody was talking about we have this like daily, I don't know what we call it a huddle. Basically,
Like
just like
check-in. Yeah.
yeah, like you just call in about certain things, and people tell you, okay, we some lady fell yesterday, and they went to this ER or whatever. So they were talking about how at one of the locations, I believe it was during a visit, the patient like leaned over and they saw a gun like just holstered or something, and which you can't bring in the medical facility, but they brought it in, and they were going to talk to them. They had security pull them away and empty the magazine in the chamber, and everything was fine. Whatever. But so then I was like, okay, whatever. You kind of hear it happen from time to time, and so then somebody goes, "Well, it doesn't matter because DeWine signed that concealed carry thing." And I go, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's like the Wild West now. You don't have to have a permit or anything." And I was thinking to myself, "Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I'll look
that's
this up." And that sounds a little
hyperbole.
too. It just doesn't sound like what something he would do. So I go back to my desk. I get my phone. I look it up, and there it is, March 14th, 6:46 p.m. Governor Mike DeWine signs a bill allowing people to carry concealed firearms without training or permits. And you don't take the class. I think the class is like 8 hours long, and they teach you if you're at a church, you have to ask the pastor if you can carry it there. If you get stopped for a traffic stop, you have to tell the officer that where it is before he starts talking to you. Like there's a bunch of little regulations and stuff that they need you to do, and then you bring a gun with you to this class just to fire it and make sure they know that you can hit the target, like you're not like this stupid. And so then you get the thing, and you can carry whatever you want. So but now you don't even need that class. Now you can just, I mean, now you just walk around and do whatever you want. So I have a lot of friends who are really excited, and it's kind of like what it should be in a way. I mean, this is the Second Amendment. You're now giving it people freedom to
Arms. Yeah.
right. And so my argument was when they said that, and we were later on at work today, we were talking, and they said, "Oh, this is such a horrible deal. What an idiot." And I go, "I love it." And they said, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, because the bad people aren't gonna carry guns. Like I'm saying, the people that don't want this to go through, like Democrats, they're not going to carry guns. Bad people, if they want to carry guns, are already going to carry guns. So now you just give the opportunity to good people to carry them more often, which is great." I was like, all the good people that can't get the permits because they don't have the time to go to the class can now carry them around, and they don't have to worry about it. So it doesn't go into effect until July, but I think it was a huge step in the Second Amendment for us, and I'm really happy about it. And so are people in Ohio for sure.
You know, I wonder if there's actual writings, but I would imagine the founding fathers, when they wrote the Second Amendment, assumed that we would have a society like that where everyone who wants to walk around brandishing a firearm can. Because at that time, I mean, obviously at that time, it was your only way to stay safe, like truly physically safe. Now we're in a much more civilized society. I get that, even though some cities you're really not that much more civilized than what used to be.
Yeah,
So I don't
Yeah,
understand
for sure.
why there's a limit. Like, for example, there's a lot of other like conservative states, right? Like red states, whatever you want to call them. I don't understand why this isn't the standard for every state. Because this is the real effect of what the Constitution allows you to do. Now, I'm not saying people should have RPGs and tanks rolling down the street, but I think that I think the Second Amendment makes it clear that we have a right to do this, especially with how unhinged everybody's getting.
Yeah, I mean, so the argument is that obviously, what is the Second Amendment for? Because that's one of the big arguments that a lot of people will throw at conservatives is that it was made 250 years ago, and they just did it because they wanted people to hunt and as a recreational thing or whatever, which is not true. I mean, they knew that, okay, how did this government start in this country? And it was because they had to establish their independence against a tyrannical king. And so
Superpower, empire.
then they decided, okay, well, now what we're going to do is we're going to make it where you can give citizens the opportunity to defend if that ever happens again, because they knew that in some capacity or another, each civilization, each nation has had to fight for their own freedom at some point in their history.
Yep.
So why would you not just in case say, here's what you can do? And you're right. I mean, I think it would be a good idea if it was a benchmark for all states, and then anybody who lives in a state that's more democratic or blue, then those Democrats and officials have to then make it the statement of not allowing. But
Yeah.
it's a baseline for everything. And in order for you to stop it, you have to present the proper legislation to limit it.
Yeah. I thought of a really interesting situation. Obviously, there's still a war going on in Ukraine, and Russia is still trying to invade. And there's rumors that peace talks have almost reached an agreement, but those are still just rumors. But
Uh-huh.
could you imagine if a country, like, let's say, in a completely flipped reality, Canada is like Russia. Like, Canada's right north of us. And they are like run by like a Putin-like figure who wants to actually conquer and grow his empire, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He would have no chance if he tried to invade the US on foot.
None.
No chance.
None. No.
None.
I mean, even if you left it up to the citizens, like let's just say there was no strong military within the United States to defend it. I mean, if you just left it up to the people, I mean, there's enough people in the country that have weapons that would be able to put up a fight, and that's exactly the point. So that if that ever happens from the outside or within our own government,
Yeah.
we have the means to defend ourselves. And I just don't understand the people. Like, I mean, if you're okay, let's put you in the position of somebody who's more democratic and you're arguing against the Second Amendment. I mean, how could you put yourself in that position to say, okay, listen, if I'm like David, you're a Democrat and you want strict gun laws,
Yep.
don't you want to be able to defend you and your family if somebody broke into your house, if you were walking down the street and somebody was trying to, steal your money and was trying to beat your family? I mean, wouldn't that be just so easy? And I think maybe I'm not thinking about it like they do, but I think that they sort of think, well, we don't want, because I've heard a lot of people say we don't want all guns to be taken away. We just want there to be a limit. But they make it, but they would love for basically nobody to have guns, because apparently all the gun crimes that have ever been committed, that's the Second Amendment's fault.
Yep. It's not the criminals who would do bad things without night or without guns or not. I mean, wasn't there someone in Paris? Now, I don't know for sure. Someone who just drove a semi through a crowded street and like ran like 50 people over. Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Or no, I think it was a couple of years ago. I think
Oh, I thought
actually
there was
this
somebody
happened.
who maybe not in Paris. I thought there was somebody maybe in, was it Minnesota?
Oh
Some
yeah,
guy ran over,
he
drove
just
through
went
like a
flying.
crowd,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and a
Right.
car, if you were driving a car, think about this. If I'm driving, even I have an SUV, if I'm driving my SUV at 50 miles an hour and I hit someone, I'm most likely killing them.
Uh-huh. Right.
And the
Well,
same effect goes for a gun. Unless I physically use the gun, it's not bad.
Yeah.
people realize this. There was a police officer who made a very good point, and I will actually probably post the article or video to our Facebook page. He said one of the best things about being properly trained with a gun is that just the threat of it deters people away. Like if they start trying to beat you up or they trying to steal stuff and you pull the gun, they
Yeah.
if they don't have a gun, they are going to run away.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of stories of. I mean, I don't know if it's how true it is or if this is just kind of an example made to show the effect it can have. But there's a story of a woman and a married couple, and the husband went downstairs in the middle of the night for something. I don't know if he heard a noise or whatever, and he went down, and a few minutes goes by, and then she hears somebody coming up the stairs, and she calls out his name, the husband's name, and nobody answers. And then she goes under the bed and pulls out a shotgun and pumps it. And so the sound effect that,
Yep.
and then she hears somebody running down the stairs and leaving.
Yep.
So that is all it takes. What would you say to somebody like if I say, well, I mean, what's the point of just going against the guns? Because why wouldn't you say, well, guns aren't bad unless you use them, so there's no in a bad way, so there's no point in limiting them. So why don't we just let all crime be legal? Why do we have to limit marijuana? Why do we have to make cocaine illegal? Because if the bad guys are going to get guns no matter what, then what's the point of us making laws because they're just going to get drugs no matter what? I mean, what would you say to somebody like that?
That's like a question of like morality. And because I would say drugs are destructive to you, and like I drink caffeine, I consume sugar. Those are in a sense drugs, but cocaine is so physically destructive to your life. I think they should be illegal. A gun sitting in your closet to protect you is not destroying anybody's life, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting topic for sure, and I think it's one of those topics that's more brought on by emotionally charged situations. Like you don't hear of anybody trying to change or restrict gun ownership unless something happens where there's a mass shooting. So
Yep.
it's one of those things that, like I said, it is the result of an emotional response, and so that in of itself kind of makes it sort of discredits the argument, because if you're not bringing it forth at any point, if you're just talking about it when something bad happens that would emotionally charge people up and say, yeah, you're right, we do need to limit this because something just happened where a school was shot up, then it kind of says, okay, but how important do you really think it is if you're not going to bring it up any time of the year? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's part of it is a political game with the phrase "never let a crisis go to waste." And the second one is that it's all based on feeling. It's all based on there isn't any logic to it. It's not proven. It's a myth that says if you take away guns, you take away crime. That's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago has the most strict gun laws in the country, and there is more shootings there than I can count. I need an Excel spreadsheet for the whole year to track it. Yeah, it's like not even close. And then the historical impact of it. And this is how kind of Alex Jones, I don't know if I'm going to say his name and get us kicked off, but
There we go.
his like
You just did
really
it.
his really popular clip was when he went on CNN. I know at one point CNN had Alex Jones on their show. I know. Piers Morgan had a show, and it was after the Sandy Hook shooting, and Alex Jones went on there. And Alex Jones brought up, and everyone I'm sure has seen the clip where he yells 1776 will rise again if you try to take our firearms. Um, but he was before he went into his fit of rage, he made a very, very good points that in history, and this goes back to even before guns were like standard, tyrants take away the weapons of the people.
First.
That's the
Right.
first thing they do. So if someone in the position of power is trying to take away your weapon, which is your best way to defend yourself, why would they want to do that if they were truly out for your best interest? That's my question that most people on the left, or even those who are more center right, that think we need to, tone it down, quote unquote.
Right.
Um, That's my question. When has it worked out for the good of humanity when people in power wanted you to willingly give up your ability to defend yourself? The answer is it never has.
Do you think that like a lot of these school shootings are orchestrated at
Oh,
particular times?
oh, you mean like false flags? Like the whole thing that got Alex Jones sued out of oblivion? Like, because he said the
Well,
Sandy Hook was set up?
yeah, like do you think that okay they it's before an election or it's before a certain talking point
Yeah.
during the midterms or something where they're like we need to make sure that we have the ammunition ironic we have the ammunition to bring forth an argument that's credible to say we need to limit guns. So how do we do that? We can't just do it out of thin air. We can't reference something that happened
Yeah.
years ago. So let's make a situation happen where it gives us the credibility to do something, you know?
Well, as you know, I'm a very big conspiracy theorist, and I wouldn't put it past these people in power because they have so much access to knowledge and control that we won't even ever know until we
Yeah,
die and we have, we hopefully we're in heaven and we have all knowledge. But uh, I think that there might be a shred of truth to that. But what I think they do is if they need to push the message a little bit. If there is a shooting, and they can happen organically, people become unhinged, people are evil, they do bad things.
right.
The media will recycle that thing like crazy. That will be all you hear about for the next month. Like that is, I think, their biggest tool. If it is pretty crazy to think they might be orchestrating it, but let's just assume they aren't. When they need to push something, the media does it because the media has been bought and paid for. You can look up all their donors. I mean, when CNN was pushing all the vaccines, every every commercial break, someone said for 2 hours Pfizer had an ad. So it's like, come on, like.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, I
So
mean,
if the government
for
wants
sure.
something, the media is their propaganda machine, and it's been like that since the 40s. I mean, look, Walt Disney was making anti-Nazi cartoons, and then at the end of it, it showed Donald Duck buying war bonds. Like the government told Walt Disney to make these films so that kids would see it and parents would see it, so the parents would buy bonds and give the government money. So the media has just been propaganda for I don't even know how long since it's been media. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I forget the name of the rule, but what's the rule that was made a long time ago where there were basically only five or six major channel distributions of media, and then they made a rule where they all couldn't say, or a majority couldn't say the same thing because they were afraid that they would use it to influence people. And it was
yeah,
an actual rule. We have ABC, CBS, NBC as the main three networks in one portion of the country.
yep.
They all, two out of three of them, cannot say the exact same thing because, or else now you're going to use it. Evil people will use that to influence anybody. And I forget what the rule was, but I thought it was an actual rule. I
I
can't remember the
think
name of
it
it.
was, and it got abolished
It was like the rule of
because
threes or something. They called it something along those lines, but I can't remember what it was called.
I think
But
it was abolished because it's pretty obvious that channels 2, 5, and 7 all say the same thing. You know, like
yeah, I mean, it's even worse now, obviously. But I think it's it's crazy that even back then, however many years ago, that you could look at the world in the 40s and say that it was a lot more religious. There wasn't the internet, obviously, so the access to a bunch of evil stuff was not as easily accessible. But even then, it's crazy to say that even way back then, people would use whatever they could to do the same things they're doing now, just in a less efficient capacity because technology was not as advanced. It's like to say that in the early 1900s, when before World War One, and Pope St. Pius X wrote Pascendi, talking
yeah,
about modernism, and he saw that the the level of modernism that was already taking place, and this is in 1905, 1906, 07. So it's like it's so hard to comprehend way back then, 115 years ago, that there
yeah,
was a high enough level of modernism where the Pope could see it.
uh-huh.
I mean, it's just like it's crazy. It's not like evil started 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I mean, it's been going around forever. It's just It's just
Now we
interesting to
can
look back
see
and
it.
see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just interesting.
Could you imagine? And I had this thought the other day. Could you imagine if there was no alternative ways to get news, that the only way in today's day and age was through the main media? We would
Yeah,
all have been afraid of COVID. You know what I mean? We would all,
yeah, for sure. I mean, even with the news and a lot of people not watching the news, I think when all they would hear about was a global pandemic, they turned to the news for. Because I think I don't know what you think, but I think most people, um, unless they're so far on the right or so far on the left, I think people just generally think that, oh, there's some news networks that just give you the basic news and they don't lean one way or the other. So they just go, people think, hey, if I watch, I don't even know, David Muir at 6:30 on ABC. He just
yeah,
gives me the generic stuff. He doesn't go into anything that's too far one way, but they don't see that it's part of the network that does that. So I
yeah,
just think that it's yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, they did a good enough job with scaring people and
yeah.
during COVID because there were people that would wear masks while cutting their grass by themselves outside and
Or driving in their
or
car with all the
driving.
windows closed. Yeah.
Yeah, good old COVID. But by the way, I wanted to do this. I don't know who's our content creator and our content director with this at our podcast. Do we have one? Do we hire anybody yet?
No,
Is
I
that in the
don't think
budget?
so.
Okay. All right, not in the budget yet. But I
No.
thought this would be an interesting idea. So there's a Facebook group out there, and I'll say who they are because they don't care that they want more publicity. So their name is Occupy Democrats. Okay, Occupy Democrats is one of the funniest places on the earth on Facebook because Occupy Democrats is a bunch of idiots that are as far liberal as you can make it.
Are
And
you talking like universal basic income, no
oh
private
my gosh,
property, like
no,
type of?
it's like anybody but Obama and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are evil. I mean, George Washington was evil. We need to limit guns, and they will use. And I'll give you an example. So almost to the date, last year, uh, Officer Eric Talley was killed in Colorado, and I knew him fairly well because he would come to Cleveland every year for Holy Week. He and his son, and he would go to camp. And when he died, he responded to a shooting, I think at a grocery store, and he died.
Yeah, he
And
got you.
this page used his picture and said that, something like, this officer Eric Talley, he just died by needless gun violence. This is why we need stricter gun laws. And he would have been the complete opposite. He was not for gun
Yeah,
restrictions at all. And I remember myself and a lot of other people that knew him said, put on the post that
yeah.
you are completely wrong. He would have wished that there were more people with guns there to help him out. I mean, we, went at this page because we were, this was a friend that we knew, and you're using his death to further your political messages. But
And that, just a quick point, because that
yeah,
sickens me when any politician, I don't care if you're left, right, I don't care if I voted for you. When you take a tragedy and you don't
yeah,
first be human and act like a human about it, and you just look at it as something to gain from, I am disgusted. Like I don't care who does it. It is so just despicable to me that someone's dad is dead, or someone's brother is now gone, or someone has to bury their child, and all you care about is getting reelected and using it to help you get more votes. It's just sickening to me. Sorry, every time I
yeah,
hear it,
yeah. I mean, we had, like I said, there was about, I think, 7 of us who right away responded to the page and was like, "You have no idea what you're talking about. This is, we knew him personally, and
yeah. Didn't
there's
he
no way
teach
that
you
he
how
would have
to
wanted
shoot?
this." He was well, not me, but yeah, he went to the camp and he was one of the instructors and was for the Second Amendment. And I remember I would talk to him all the time about, because I think it was in Boulder,
Boulder,
and he
Colorado.
was
Yep.
he was telling me about all the legislation that was coming through that was restricting people with carrying firearms, and he was upset because he thought, ironically enough, that what if this was something that happened in a situation that this helps cops
Yeah.
that that are not uh, maybe experienced as he was, and now you make the population less prepared.
More
So
vulnerable. Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to randomly pick out a couple posts from Occupied Democrats, and I wanted imagine that I am actually saying this. Okay, whatever this post is. Okay, if it's a quote from a politician that's an idiot, or Nancy Pelosi that's, or Joe or Biden or whatever. Let's say that I'm actually saying this, and I want to see you respond to me.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I'm in
So
character. Let's do it.
this could be about any kind of topic. I don't know what this is because I've not looked at this. So let's see. Let me see if I can find one here. Oh, this is funny. All right. So the first one, I am one of the 69% of Americans who oppose the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. Are you also one of them? Go.
Nope. No, Roe v. Wade needs to be overturned. It is a complete sideways interpretation of America's right to privacy.
Okay, let's see. That wasn't. Let's see if I can find it. I need to find one where they have an actual
Some
quote.
like a quote, or like, I think you've told me one of these before, like retweet or share if you agree in like all caps because they just need their page to get traction.
Oh, here's one. This is from John Bolton. John Bolton said that, good old Mario mustache.
Yeah.
So he says, quote, Putin didn't invade Ukraine while Trump was in office because Putin saw Trump was doing a lot of his work for him.
What?
Unquote.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
So
I don't know what he means, but he was doing it.
If Russia put Trump in, because remember, they believe that Russia gave Trump the 2016 election. Remember that whole 2 years of garbage? So here's my question. Putin is supposed to be, they're talking about how evil he is as a dictator and stuff like that. So he gets his way, and he is by shadow puppet controlling the United States of America. So he should have complete control, do whatever he wants on the world stage. He doesn't move anything, and his country becomes weaker under Trump.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as Biden comes in, who's supposed to be this strong guy who's going to stand up to Putin, his senile words, not mine. As soon as Biden comes in, Putin's like, I'm going to go take Ukraine back, and I'm not going to stop. It's 20 days now. We're almost 3 weeks into this invasion, and he hasn't stopped. They're bombing buildings now. Like, it's just,
right.
Why would someone, if he really had Trump's, if he really was controlling Trump, why wouldn't he take advantage of that? That makes zero sense. You know why? Because he didn't control Trump. And Trump said he would have bombed. Trump's exact quote, if you take Ukraine, I will bomb your pretty buildings in Moscow. You can find the video on YouTube if they haven't censored it yet. And he said it, and Putin's like, this man is crazy. You can see his face. Like, he's like, this man is nuts, and he's got nuclear weapons.
Well, I think you're wrong because John Bolton knows everything.
John Bolton does know all.
But thank you for trying.
I gave it a good run.
Let's see if I can figure out. Let's see if I can find another one. What's this one?
I can't even imagine.
Well, that's one about unions. I don't know. Do you want to talk about you? Oh wait! Oh! Wait a minute! I found one from Bernie. Hold on.
Oh, it's the Muppet.
He says if Jeff Bezos can afford a $500 million yacht, and a $23 million mansion with 25 bathrooms, and a rocket ship to blast a comedian to outer space, you know what? Amazon can afford to give its employees a $3 raise. I stand in strong solidarity with the Amazon workers walkout.
I hate that phrase now. I will never use the phrase I stand with insert thing here. I'm serious. I cannot stand it. That or the solidarity. I'm so sick of hearing solidarity, because it doesn't mean you're going to do anything. It just means you want to feel good about it. So does he know that Jeff Bezos only controls like 20% of Amazon or something like that?
I think he said,
is it like 15% because he's worth 150? Yeah.
150 billion. He says Amazon's a $1 trillion company. He just owns 15%.
So shouldn't Bernie be going after the other 85% of the company that has probably, they would have a majority say unless they make Bezos the final vote, you know what I mean? But
yeah, he's probably some kind of chairman, right?
He is, yeah.
So I don't know. He doesn't. Does he own? Does he own a majority share at 15%?
He might. I don't know
It
that
might.
whole
It might be a.
structure.
It might be a bunch of 20 different people
Yeah.
that own their own
I
equity.
mean,
But okay.
technically, if you buy stock, you're a part owner. You're like a fraction of a fraction of a percent, but
Yeah, but that doesn't count. I don't count the
you don't get a seat at the
thousands of
board of
people.
meeting, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So all right, let's do one more.
Bernie Sanders. I bet you they're already making like 18 an hour and they wanted 21 an hour to just put things in boxes and put a pre-printed label on it.
You know what? Let's look that up. Average
Like the high, and we're in a higher
zones.
wage area because everything is so expensive here.
You're talking
It's
about yeah.
like 15 an hour. And
What?
then if you come in with a certain amount of experience in certain fields, it's like 18 to 22.
Let's see.
So
They said the median Amazon worker made 29,000 in 2020,
okay.
and they raised their minimum wage to 18.
Wow.
I'm sorry, in 2018 to $15 an hour. So that's 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's higher now. All right. Here's a good one. This is a good one to end on from Occupy Democrats. Unemployment, Trump versus Biden. January of 21, 6.3% for Trump.
Okay.
February of 2022, 3.8% for Biden.
That's
So Biden
just
has a lower unemployment rate.
that's just statistically untrue because, and again, because most people who are on the left don't understand like the basic economic formulas for unemployment. But unemployment is calculated based on the workforce. And if you aren't working for a certain amount of time, you get taken out of the workforce. So Biden may have that number, but it's based on a way smaller number of people participating. And also, he's not gaining jobs. And I thought of this example. You have a business, you have 10 people. COVID hits, you have to fire 10 people. So now you have nobody. And then next year, COVID's gone, you hire 7 of them back. You didn't make 7 new jobs.
Yeah,
You're
you're
still
still
down
minus
3.
three. Yeah.
If you look from December of 2019, the last time the jobs report, or maybe it was January 2020, the last normal jobs report of Trump's presidency, we're still net negative jobs. Not unemployment rate, we're still net negative people working because people have stopped working because of all the benefits and all the unemployment and the stimulus checks
Right.
that have come around since. So no, that is sadly they can twist the numbers and make it look like Biden's doing good when we're about to have stagflation for the first time since Jimmy Carter,
Oh, good old Jimmy.
peanut farmer. Sorry.
Yeah, this page is funny. I mean, Occupy Democrats, they put up, AOC, they put up oh wait, what is this? Hold on.
Yeah, we may need another one if it's that good.
Wait, what? What is he talking about?
What do you say? What do you say?
When I was in university, I studied history, and there was this one major historian of the Third Reich, and his quote was, "The path to Auschwitz was paved with indifference." I know it's not very funny being a comedian talking about the Holocaust, but I think it's an interesting idea that not everyone in Germany had to be a raving anti-Semite. They just had to be a thing. I don't know what he's talking. I don't know. It's some random thing. Um, who knows? But anyway, okay. Yeah, this page is funny because they love to take any scenario, it doesn't matter what it is, and turn it into whatever they think is going on. I mean, they're the ones. I can't remember the situation that was happening, but I think this is one of the instances where I got mad and I was like, okay, I'm just going to talk about. I'm going to go behind enemy lines. And they used any certain kind of scenario that had nothing to do with Trump to ring in how bad Trump is or was compared to them. So, like, my thing was, I'm like, okay, you're not helping, whether or not what you're saying is true or not, you're not helping the situation by turning people against Trump and Republicans by saying something that may or may not be true. Like what they say wasn't related to Trump. It had nothing to do with him at all, but they used that as a way to make a dig at Trump. But now
Yeah.
you're just fueling the same attitude that you said that Trump
brought to
shouldn't
the
do.
conservatives. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're using that angry, volatile kind of speech that you didn't want him to use, but it's okay for you to trash him, no matter what. It's so baseless.
Well,
So I think they're funny.
I think one time we should go live and do a live episode where we just scroll down their Facebook feed and just have at it. That would be a heck of a time.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
we would both probably need some sort of beverage to get us through it.
I don't know. They're very interesting. I mean, like I said, they're committed to
The
the
hard left.
liberal. Oh yeah. I mean, that's exactly what they do. So I mean, good on them.
It's
They're
the
doing what they
same.
think.
We talked about this like that, and I know it's like the cliche hippie thing. It's not left versus right. It's up versus down. No, it's too many people believe everything that page says, and too many people are
Yeah.
really invested in like QAnon and very far right and not thinking clearly. Like most, like if you took our Catholic faith and you put it to legislation, it would be considered extremely far right.
Sure.
But we're not, but we know that's not how it's supposed to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not supposed to be one way or the other, and it goes back to what we were talking about with the TV networks and media. If
yeah,
you have them all going one way, no matter what it is, you have to let people decide for themselves, not be influenced by what somebody else says. They're like, you know, that sounds good. I'll just go with that.
yeah.
There's a post. They're actually quoting Proverbs with a
I'm
picture
sorry.
of Trump. Oh yeah, they have a picture of Trump, and it's a worthless person and a wicked man. And so this is the yeah. Okay. Let's see this. I'm gonna comment because this is ridiculous. I'm gonna say now you're quoting the Bible.
That
Hilarious.
and that's we have a
Yeah.
couple minutes here before we should wrap up, and so I want to bring up because of that. It's disturbing to me how many people who say that all religions are equal will quote the Bible to justify their life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You
Exactly.
know, I don't say that all religions are equal. You know, so when I quote the Bible, it's because I fully believe in the message of the Bible, and
Exactly.
I don't twist the Bible to make my lifestyle feel better.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I mean, it's like the argument where people who, if you're arguing with somebody who's not religious, and and you're arguing about a moral issue, they will look up whatever your religion is to reinforce their point, but they're not religious. So how does that even make sense?
Doesn't make any sense. And yeah, we definitely that is a good topic to bring up another time. But we're coming up here to about
I
40
just
minutes.
I
So
just want it known that I did put four, not three, I did four laughing, crying emojis.
those are the troll emojis. I like it.
So
That's how you troll people.
I just
Let it
can't
be
wait
written.
until so let it
We
be written, so let it be done. I've made contact with the other side,
we
and I'm
did a
interested to
lot.
see what they do.
We did a comment of a leftist page while recording our episode. This is a first for Accepting Reality and hopefully many more. But
Nice.
with that, we're gonna conclude. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter under DJ Media, YouTube as well. YouTube is where we have all of our podcast episodes uploaded. So if you don't want to listen on Spotify or iTunes, go over to YouTube and you can subscribe there, and it'll notify you right away when we
Yeah, just go
upload.
listen.
Yeah,
Come on. What are you doing? You got nothing to do. You just on the way to the grocery store. Just listen. Not that
stop
hard.
it. Get some help. Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael Jordan.
seriously. Come on. Just what are we doing?
We're available on Spotify and iTunes if you like your traditional podcast formats. You can just turn it on and close the phone. You don't have to keep it open to listen. Or you can be one of those people that have YouTube Premium and you can listen to videos with your lock screen. So I bet you didn't know you could do that on YouTube. But so yeah, anyways, thank you everybody for listening. Again, Facebook, Twitter, DJ Media, YouTube, same thing. We're available on Spotify and iTunes as well. Thank you so much and have a good night.